Ending the madness. What is this self inside us? This silent observer, severe and speechless critic who can terrorize us and urge us on futile activity, and in the end judge us still more severely for the errors into which his own reproaches us. Before we examine self-compassion in more detail, it's worth considering what our more habitual, unhealthy states of minds look like. As we begin to see the workings of our psyches more clearly, we start to recognize how much we skew our perceptions of the world in order to feel better about ourselves. It's as if we're continually airbrushing our self-image to try to make it more to our liking, even if it radically distorts reality. At the same time, we meticulously criticize ourselves when we fall short of our ideals, reacting so harshly that reality is equally distorted in the opposite direction. This result can look like a Salvador Dali picture, extra warped. As we first start to learn about self-compassion as a viable alternative to this madness, it's easy for us to end up judging our ego's dysfunctions themselves. I'm so full of myself, I should be more humble. Or, or else, I get so down on myself, I should be more kind and self-accepting. It's very important to stop condemning yourself for these patterns, fruitless as they may be. The only way to truly have compassion for yourself is to realize that these neurotic ego cycles are not of your own choosing. They are natural and universal. Put simply, we come by our own dysfunctions honestly. They are part of human inheritance. So why do we validate between self-serving distortions and rootless self-criticism? Because we want to be safe. Our development, both as a species and as individuals, is predicated on basic survival instincts. Because human beings tend to live in a hierarchical, hier, hierarchical, hierarchical social groups, those who are dominant within their group are less likely to be rejected and have more access to valued resources. In the same way, those who accept their subordinate status also have a secure place in social order. We can't take the risk of being outcast by the people who keep us out of harm's way. If not, we want to stay alive. Surely this behavior need not to be judged. How could the desire to be safe and secure be anything other than normal and natural for any other living organism? The need to feel better than others. The fictional town of Lake Wannabagan as a place where all the women are strong, all the men are good looking, and all the women are above average. For this reason, psychologists sometimes use the phrase Lake Wanbagan effect to describe the common tendency to think of oneself as superior to others on a long list of desirable personality traits. Research has shown that fully 85% of students think that they are above average in terms of getting along with others, for instance. 94% of college faculty members think they're better teachers than their colleagues. And 90% of drivers think that they're more skilled than their road mates. Even people who recently caused car accidents think they're superior drivers. Research shows that people tend to think they're funnier, more logical, more popular, better looking, nicer and more trustworthy, and wiser and more intelligent than others. Ironically, most people also think they're above average in the ability to view themselves objectively. Logically speaking, of course, if our self-perceptions were accurate, only only half of all people would say that they are above average on any particular trait, the other half admitting they were below average. But this almost never happens. It's unacceptable to be average in our society, so pretty much everyone wears a pair of rose-colored glasses, at least when they're looking in the mirror. How else could we explain all those American Idol contestants with marginal talent who seem so genuinely shocked when they're booted off the show? One might assume that the tendency to see oneself as better than and superior to other people is primarily found in individualistic cultures such as the United States, where self-promotion is the way of life. Where else could Muhammad Ali have gotten away with the line, I'm not the greatest, I'm the double greatest? In more collectivist Asian cultures, where conceit is frowned upon, aren't people more modest? The answer is yes. Most Asians think they are more modest than others. Research suggests that all people self-enhance, but only on the traits valued by their culture. Whereas Americans tend to think they're more independent, self-reliant, original, and leader-like than the average American. Asians tend to think they are more cooperative, self-sacrificing, respectful, and humble than their peers. I'm more modest than you are. It's the same almost everywhere else. And we don't just see ourselves as better. We also see others as worse. Psychologists use the term downward social comparison to describe our tendency to see others in a negative light so that we can feel superior by contrast. If I'm trying to glide my own ego, you can be damn sure I'll try to tarnish yours. Sure, you're rich, but look at your bald spot. This tendency was brilliantly illustrated in the film Mean Girls. The movie was actually based on a non-fictional book, Queen Bees and Wannabes, by Rosalind Wiseman, which describes how females' critiques in high school maintain their social status. Mean Girls tells a story of three beautiful, rich, and well-dressed girls who seem to have it all. Certainly they think so. As one says, I'm sorry the people are so jealous of me. I can't help it that I'm so popular. The girls, however, are hated despite their popularity. The clique keeps something called the Burn Book, a top-secret notebook filled with rumors, secrets, and gossip about the other girls in school. See, says one, we cut out girls' pictures from the yearbook, and then we wrote comments. Trank Park is a grotesque little biatch. Still true. Don Schwarzenegger is a fat virgin. Still half true. When the existence of the book is revealed to the school body at large, it ends up causing a riot. The film was a blockbuster hit in the United States and struck a huge chord with the audience. While exaggerating for comedic effort, the mean girl or boy phenomenon is something we're all too familiar with. Although most of us don't go to lengths to keeping a burning book, it's very common to look for flaws or shortcomings in others as a way to feel better about ourselves. Why else do we love pictures of stars spilling out of their swimsuits, making fashion flubs, or having a bad hair day? This approach, while ego gratifying for a few moments, has some serious drawbacks. When we are always seeing the worst in others, our perception becomes obscured by the dark cloud of negativity. Our thoughts become malevolent, and this is a mental world we then inhabit. Downward social comparison actually harm rather than help us. By putting others down to puff ourselves up, we are cutting off our nose to spite our face, creating and maintaining the state of disconnection and isolation we actually want to avoid.